Okay, now I'm going to show you how to mark markings from your pattern onto your fabric to include darts and dots, and this one has a square and a larger dot here. These dots are usually sew to or stop sewing points. You'll see a couple of dots on a dart, and those are just those are like pinpoints where you want to make sure they match up. And this is also a stop sewing dot or a matching dot that will correlate to another piece later. Okay, there's a couple of tools you can use. I like these disappearing or mark be gone. This one is washable. You can use a Crayola washable marker. You just have to be careful with the color because it could potentially still not wash out. There's things like this where it's kind of like a liquid chalk and then it erases. And then I like this Taylor's wax, which is kind of a cross between chalk and marker. So this will actually melt and then the color disappears. So first with a dart, and this is one of the darts that I had to be altered to be a little bit smaller. But I start with the point and I either go through with one like this, but I'm going to show you by just doing a small pin like that where it stops. And then on this line, I'm going to go all the way through on the corrected line. If your correct line is this one, go ahead and put your pin right where the dot is. Okay, but I'm going to move mine in a little bit. So I'm going to flip this over. And now I can see where my pins are. And in this case, I had already marked this one. So I just do a mark like that and a mark like this so that I have a nice dot there. I did a line here and a line here next to those pins. Then I want to take this out and I can either put this on this side and pin it again, which I would recommend because that's going to be the most accurate. But sometimes I just go ahead and put my pins right where my markings are. Like that. And then this one right here. Flip it over. Now you want to be marking the wrong side of your fabric. So if the right side of your fabric is facing out, you're going to have to flip your fabric around. You want to make sure the marks are on the wrong side of your fabric. All right, because when you go to sew these, you're going to need to see those markings. Okay, so now I'm going to kind of do the same for these other marks. I'm going to put a pin in it, do a dot, put a pin in it, flip it around. So now these dots have a bunch of different numbers. I am going to mark the one for the size that I cut out. I cut out a size 14 for this. So I want to put the dot, only the 14 dot. I don't need to mark all of those dots. So in this case, I'm going to go like that. I kind of try to do an X or a T, and then you can see that. I'll put a pin through there. And then mark it on this side. Okay, and then I'm going to repeat the same process for this big square here and this dot. Now, what I know about this pocket is that this is going to be the edge of the top of the pocket for later. This pocket is going to come down and over to this point. So I kind of know in my head this is the inside of the pocket, and that edge of the pocket's going to kind of go like this. This I'm not sure yet. When I get to my instructions later, I am sure that it will say something about matching this square to another square. So go ahead and mark it and know that you're going to be seeing that later in the instructions.